Hi there. Well, I'm just going to go right into this. This is from December 26, 2021. It's FBI declassifies files on the CIA's involvement in satanic ritual abuse and child sex trafficking. Yeah, I looked into this last night. Actually, I read a lot of it, and there's a lot in this. Plus, there's uh, a video of this, which is from some years ago, which I've actually remembered seeing this and listening to the eyewitness of this dark shit, to put it bluntly. And so I'll just go right into this article, parts of it anyway. Russ Winter of Winter Watch published an article earlier this month, December 2021, about the FBI declassifying files on a CI group called the Finders and the McMartin preschool satanic child trafficking case in Los Angeles in the 1980s. We have referenced this case in the secret CIA group, the Finders, in the past here at Health Impact News, as former FBI Chief Ted Gunderson was actively involved in this case, which we referenced in our June 2020 article, Unmasking Who is Behind the Pandemic and Rioting to Usher in the New World Order. After retiring from the FBI, Gunderson set up a private investigation firm, Ted L. Gunderson and Associates, in Santa Monica in a 1995 conference in Dallas. Gunderson warned about the proliferation of secret satanic groups and the danger posed by the New World Order, a shadow government that controls the U.S. government. Gunderson discovered that in the U.S. there is a secret, widespread network of groups who kidnap children and infants and subject them to satanic ritual abuse and subsequent human sacrifice. One of those groups is the Finders, which Gunderson said is operated by the CIA. He wrote a book on the Finders, which can still be downloaded from his website. It says Ted Gunderson died in 2011. This is the same CIA group that the FBI just declassified many of the files from their investigation into the Finders, although many names remain redacted to protect the guilty. Gunderson traveled around the country giving lectures about his work, which included cases that led him to discover the hidden groups involved with the satanic occult, which included child sex abuse and child sacrifice. His general lecture was about 4 hours, but there is one lecture still available today where he condensed this down to just a little over 1 hour. At the end of this lecture, Gunderson has a woman named Linda Wiegand come up and give her testimony. As he introduced her, Gunderson said, "This is one of the most classic examples of corruption I have ever seen, and believe me, you can tell from my lecture that I've seen some pretty awful examples of corruption." We have extracted Linda Wiegand's testimony from his lecture, but I have to warn you, this is very graphic and very evil. It will disturb you. This is from our BitChute channel. And I had, like I had mentioned, I remember watching this like way back, like so many years ago. And yes, it's basically, yes, she goes into the bloodletting, the whole, like. So I will get back to this. I'm just actually, admittedly, I'm not as completely prepared as I was planning to be. But I'm still working on this. But I will pause this for now, and then I'll return in a moment. I'll continue in a moment. Okay, thank you. I apologize for the delay here. It turns out that this my camera, my screen isn't really set up for sharing the video. So I'm just going to continue reading from where I left off about this whole satanic ritual abuse thing and sacrifice with children. The vehicle that is used by the U.S. government and the CIA to traffic these children and run these satanic ritual abuse networks is the government-funded Child Social Services and Foster Care Network, most commonly known as CPS, Child Protection Services. Massive government funds exist for all 50 U.S. states that can only be collected if they meet certain quotas of children put into this system. So many children are literally kidnapped, mostly medically kidnapped, from their parents to meet the demand for children in this evil satanic system, which is mostly operated by Christian churches collecting funds from the government. Many people have courageously tried to expose this evil system that exists in every state and every county within the U.S., and sadly, many of them are now dead. In 2009, Bill Bowen released a trailer for a documentary film he was producing exposing the corruption within child protection services across the United States. This film is called Innocence Destroyed. Bill Bowen died unexpectedly the next year in 2010, reportedly from a heart attack, before he was able to finish the film. The segments that were completed were published on YouTube in 3 different videos. To preserve Bill's work, we have combined all 3 segments and published them on our BitChute channel. And there are links in this article. First, and to continue, another person who exposed the corrupt Child Protection Services network was Georgia Senator Nancy Schaefer. Before she was murdered, she had produced evidence of this corruption, and the main lecture she gave on that evidence is now hard to find on YouTube. So we have published it on our BitChute channel. This lecture and the report that she created cost her her career and ultimately her life. Nancy was interviewed by Alex Jones just 7 months before her murder, and it is the best interview I have watched on her work. The interview was originally broken up into several parts and published on YouTube, but most of those copies have disappeared. We uploaded a copy of the interview to our BitChute channel. Another state senator who tried to expose the corruption in CPS and child sex trafficking and was murdered in the summer of 2019 was Arkansas Senator Linda Collins Smith. We covered her story in 2019, and it also has ties to child sex trafficking in Arizona, which I covered on a radio show I produced back in 2019 on KFNX out of Phoenix. And this goes on to another part of this article. I mean, this whole page is long, but this goes on something. This is there an Arizona and Mormon connection to child trafficking in Arkansas and Senator Linda Collins Smith's murder? Like I said, all of this is really long, and I will go into more of it for now. Much of this very evil satanic ritual abuse and child sex trafficking happening in the United States was exposed in 2016 by Julian Assange and WikiLeaks, which was named Pizzagate. I believe this is the main reason why Hillary Clinton was thrown under the bus in 2016, because she had too many ties to the network. Donald Trump was recruited instead, not because he wasn't involved in all this. There is no evidence including not because he wasn't involved in all this. There is evidence including being in Epstein's black book that Trump has been part of all this also, and a book published by investigative journalist chronicled dozens of women and girls who say they were sexually molested by Trump, but because he was not part of the political establishment, but part of the Wall Street billionaire club, and could be counted on to usher in the Great Reset and the COVID pandemic, and further enrich the globalists and distract the public from concentrating on the evil child trafficking network. This is my opinion, but it would also explain why the CIA probably developed Q and pretended to make Trump look like a savior who was going to come in and drain this swamp of all these child traffickers. And it worked brilliantly as a distraction from the truth, of course. But just the opposite happened. He further enriched the globalists and carried out the COVID plan with great precision, distracting people with the very real problem of child sex trafficking and satanic ritual abuse by concentrating on the war against the virus instead. I actually added instead because that's, rather than the horrific, like child sex trafficking and the sacrificing, rather than, keeping the focus on that and just having, bringing that to the surface, into the light more. He concentrated on the war against the virus, this whole COVID thing instead, the whole big destruction. And like I said, it worked brilliantly, unfortunately. But back to this article here. Biden was probably brought in to not only continue the COVID policies, including rolling out the bioweapon shots, but to also reverse all the work done on our southern border to allow a fresh flow of children and criminals to keep the child trafficking and satanic ritual abuse operation going. I have been covering this issue for many years now, and it is why I have no hope that this country will ever see justice through our judicial system. It is thoroughly corrupt, and I have been threatened numerous times by judges in family courts, including district attorneys, mostly in Arizona, from this article, to take down our articles because they expose their corruption, of course. But by the grace of God, I am still alive, still publishing, and to date have not taken down one single article on this topic. And this goes on to another part, which is headed as the FBI declassifies files on the Finders and McMartin preschool child trafficking cases. Like I said, there's much more to this whole article, and I could continue it at another time. I don't know. I might actually just do it. It might be a night. This might be a night thing. I'm not sure, but anyway, I would bring this up because it needs to be brought into the light more. It's like all this dark agenda just needs to be into the light as much as possible. It just needs, obviously it all needs to be exposed. And I will leave it at this for now, and I will get back to this on a future, probably, a very soon future. So, I will leave it off at that, and for now, okay?